How do you, I think, my question to you is if you were, I think it's different when you're if you're like a general elementary
That's
school
true.
teacher, right?
Yeah.
Because you teach all the subjects. So you
Yeah.
have different ways that you can connect with your students. But when it comes to math particularly,
Mhm.
do you kind of have a go-to to how to make people kind of open up, especially because it's a very vulnerable thing?
Yeah.
A lot of the times that like, oh, I hate math is coming from a place of like, I feel kind of exposed right now because I'm not very skilled. So my question to you would be, how do you get students to open up in an environment where it's basically math, just
Pure mathematics.
pure math?
Yeah.
Ready, ready, ready.
Hi. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to season 10. It's our first episode of the year and being educators and school starting. Sorry for guys who don't like school. Um, I'm sorry. But more importantly, we're talking about literacy. What is the importance of literacy? What is literacy? And as educators or just people in general, how do you teach literacy? Before we get started, though, you know I'm an educator, but these are new faces, so we'll have them introduce themselves.
Okay, I'll go first. My name is Sophia. I just recently finished my teaching program, so I have my bachelor's, my master's, which is kind of crazy. Fully done being a student, so now I'm entering that educator side of my life, and that'll be going on for quite a few years. But for right now, I've applied to two districts, and I'm just waiting to hear back because just where we're recording, it's still the hiring process time. And I have a feeling I'll probably just be substitute teaching for this school year. So by the time this is posted, we'll see what I do.
Okay. Hi, I'm Margot, and I'm an early childhood educator. And then, similar to Sophia, I also just finished my graduate or my postgraduate. Yeah, and so now I'm just kind of working on finishing to get my preliminary credential and then see where that takes me, right? Subbing or maybe a teacher's assistant, but
Yeah, it's a
we'll
good
yeah,
idea.
but we'll see.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see.
Next thing you know, when this is posted, they're going to be principals, they're going to be like the top dogs.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
It's like the interview questions, like literacy. What's your experience with literacy?
Yeah.
No pressure. But getting to that topic, what is literacy? We're talking a little bit behind the scenes and definitely not doing last minute research on it, but literacy, from my understanding, is being the ability to be able to receive information, being able to process, comprehend it, and ultimately export that information to someone else, whether that's communicating, explaining, teaching. And we're not getting into a specific topic or concept because of that idea that literacy can be translated to any different subject. Would you guys agree on that?
Yeah,
I think so.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
think even like you mentioning that comment earlier, and I like that you made that clear that there's financial literacy or digital literacy, and how you mentioned it's not only about being able to receive the information, but being able to interpret it and then do something else with it, like either create something or communicate. So definitely, I would agree.
No, yeah, for sure. I always thought of it as always like related to language, but yeah, you always see it like digital literacy
Especially
is such
now.
a big thing right now. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I never really thought of it that much, but definitely just becoming more of an expert in any like certain subject.
Would you even say, I mean, I think maybe I'm getting this wrong, but literacy and fluency almost being interchangeable in a sort of type of way,
I can
like
see that.
digitally fluent. Do you
Yeah.
know kind of
Yeah.
what I'm getting
I
at?
feel like they kind of go hand in hand. Like to be like literate in something, you have to be fluent in a way. Yeah.
Because you have to have that knowledge and then actually be able to maybe hold a conversation with someone or being able to like use some, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Or I could even see like to become fluent in something, you have to be like literate. I don't know. I could see
You
it
have to
hand
have
in
that
hand.
background
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I never thought of it like that.
Tying into that knowledge, there's someone that's learning Spanish still.
Mhm.
I understand Spanish a whole lot more than being able to speak it or at least write it, because writing
Well,
it
for
is a
sure.
totally different concept.
Whatever.
It's like that. What is that? What is that little line? Enye? It's supposed to be an apostrophe. I'm like, oh,
Or even the accents too. They trip you up, but yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure,
probably
for
learning
sure.
German accents.
No,
Oh.
I can do the different accents that already speak English. That's about it. I can do Australian and Southern. That's about it.
Yeah. I like how you mentioned, Margot, the financial literacy.
Mhm.
That's a big one. And I was listening to a video about a mother, and a lot of times it's mothers, and it could be fathers too, but obviously in this story the gentleman was giving was about his mom, that his mom didn't passed high school and dropped out of college. And despite only barely having that high school education, she was able to make a living for herself. She was a single mom, and I don't know how many kids the mom had. Obviously there was one because the person was telling the story.
Yeah.
But he made a comment despite not having that knowledge of academics, she had the street smart. She knew how to make money, how to put bread on the table, how to provide and also survive.
Yes. No, yeah, that reminds me of like a friend I had in high school where even her mom would say this. Like she is like, like there's the book smart and street smart. Like she was very much book smart. She could ace any test. And it's just like when it came to street smarts, like, yeah, she was just very naive about things. Like I remember her mom mentioning it all the time. So yeah, it's like something you don't really think about. Like I feel like it's just different language.
And from what both of you guys were saying, kind of like jumping on that, I think the difference between formal, like what's considered formal and informal education, where education is not simply just did you go to school, and like you mentioning that story, it reminded me of that, and it's so true. Is
Yeah.
I think it also ties in with when we try to be culturally relevant in the classroom. It's like not having that sort of background knowledge because you didn't grow up in that kind of environment, not having that sort of, I don't know if it's gonna sound wrong saying it, but not having like
Is it nuance?
the nuance.
I don't know. Yeah.
But I think it's kind of what you like alluding to what both of you are saying, how there's different types of education. And I think it's sometimes easy to forget that, especially in academic settings.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know?
A common thing, y'all can attest to this since you guys both finished your degrees and credentials, funds of knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Besides CRSP, funds of knowledge was a big topic teachers and educators talked about.
Yeah. I mean, it literally sets the foundation for everything. It does, even just something as I guess simple as like lesson planning, something that all educators kind of do.
Yeah.
Even the way that you form connections. I think it will. I was gonna say a district, but I'm like, maybe not.
Definitely not. No, it's okay.
No.
It just bleeps out. I was like, what district did you talk about? Switch it up.
Lips. No. But I think it's one of those. We're talking about funds of knowledge.
Funds of
Yes,
knowledge
yeah.
district that we can't mention at the moment.
But before
Unnamed
that,
district.
oh, I think just the connections, because I was gonna say like the district that we have had experience in
Yeah.
is very diverse, and being able to know how to kind of communicate with your kiddos.
Oh, yeah,
So it
that
goes
makes
deeper
sense.
than just lesson planning and how you represent your classroom. It's how do you approach a child? How do you approach another person?
Oh, for sure. That was like a big part of my program was like they put so much emphasis on also developing relationships with students. It wasn't so much just teaching them, like part of teaching is building those. I mean, the student is not going to listen if you can't connect with them. Like even if they don't respect you, they're not going to listen. Like it's a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, like even as adults, we wouldn't want to listen to someone that
Mm.
knows that we know that doesn't care for us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, even if
Exactly.
they have a bunch of knowledge, it's hard to listen.
Or it's even like, how when you're younger and there's that one class you don't like, but if the teacher, like if you care and you connect with your teacher, you're okay with coming because you know that they got your back. It's the same thing. And I like how you mentioned that that's just the people thing. It's not just like a child to adult. It's how we have connections, how we form relationships.
True.
Coming as a math educator, I feel like that's something a lot of us should learn more is just how to interact with people because most of us know people don't like math, sadly.
Yeah. That question.
What's 2 plus 2?
5.
Oh, five minus 1. Oh.
No, but so since that a lot of people are kind of very reserved or hesitant about math just because it's, I think like a universally kind of not liked subject,
Appreciated, right?
Get that like underappreciated, yes. As a teacher, you gotta know how to word things. Underappreciated. How do you, I think, my question to you is if you were, I think it's different when you're if you're like a general elementary
That's
school
true,
teacher,
yeah.
right? Because you teach all the subjects. So you
Yeah.
have different ways that you can connect with your students. But when it comes to math particularly, do you kind of have a go-to to how to make people kind of open up, especially because it's a very vulnerable thing?
Yeah.
A lot of the times that like, oh, I hate math is coming from a place of like, I feel kind of exposed right now because I'm not very skilled. So my question to you would be, how do you get students to open up in an environment where it's basically math, just
Pure mathematics.
pure math?
Yeah. Especially in the middle school aspect where subjects are no longer entirely one-to-one. Obviously, you want cross-cultural, no, cross curriculum content. That's something I grew up with academically. In terms of teaching just specifically mathematics,
Mhm.
my biggest thing, someone taught me this, and I wanted to do it in my classroom as well, is asking them, "What's your math trauma?" It's really realistically for those who don't. Yeah, yeah, right. That's I want to know why do you not like this? Yeah,
That's crazy.
I definitely didn't do that on other people I met. What well said the reason a lot of people don't like math is because they had a terrible teacher
Mhm.
or they were lacking that foundational skill and it got to the point where they weren't able to backtrack and catch up at the same time.
Sense, yeah. It's like those gaps widening, like eventually just give up.
And math is one of those subjects that we've had conversations about this. But math is, I argue, is truly that subject where if you don't have those foundational blocks, you're unable to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it just gets more frustrating.
Yeah. English you can. There's obviously different things like being able to write a sentence and all that stuff. There is ways, though. You can also learn that offline and outside because you're constantly using it. Math, if you're not looking for it, you won't see it.
Yeah,
It's better to try to avoid it.
Yeah. My favorite, I remember a kid I was talking to. The kid was like, I hate math with a passion. He say hate, but you can tell he strongly disliked it. And I asked him like, oh, so do you feel math is not relevant to the world? He's like, no, it's not. Typical thing math teachers always go through. So I'm like, okay, do you like food? The kid's like, no, I don't like food. He had food in his hands, obviously. So he did like food. He was just being mean at the point.
Being a middle school.
He was straight up, and we ended up being good friends after. So, gotta love those kids. But the point of that was I was conversating with him and asking him, so it costs money to make food, right? And he liked economics for some reason.
Oh,
So it was strange. Like you don't like math, but you like economics. So yeah, straight
you
up.
found like a way in.
Yeah. So I was talking about the food. So I'm like, how much do you think this food makes? How much food, like how much is it? And just going down the numbers. He's like, it's all this. And he knew the math. I'm like, hit him on the head. But after telling him that math is involved in this, it's involved everywhere. It's just not involved in the perspective that you have because you're choosing not to look into that. A whole conversation on that and all that stuff. But yeah, going back to what you were asking.
You did answer
Yeah, oh,
you did
yeah, did I?
answer my
Okay. I do that a lot.
Did you want to have like a specific kind of because you did. It's like connecting with something that they can relate to or that they care about, and opening up with what's your trauma in math.
What's
It's
your
an
trauma? Yeah.
excellent icebreaker. That's actually pretty fun.
Would
An
you ask
idea
kids
for that?
that?
An idea for future.
Would you ask your third or second graders that?
Oh, maybe we would phrase it differently, but you guys still have that conversation.
Who hurt you?
It could happen.
Could you argue, both of y'all being in the elementary lower grades, could you say that there's a lot more kiddos that like mathematics? Or say that math was their favorite subject?
I don't know, honestly. I feel like kids really start to dislike math even early on because for my student teaching experiences, I did gen ed and special education for like a whole school year. So for the fall semester, I was with gen ed and that was fifth graders. And then for special education in the spring semester, I was with all different grades in a school that was TK through 6. So I got to see a lot of different students and I really feel like I don't know. I think the younger kids are typically a little more excited about all different subjects. Like it's just all so new. But even by third grade, they start to get a little more frustrated. I don't know if it's just how accessible video games, like online, like digital, everything, like it's just easy to get more distracted and harder to focus in school now. But I feel like even then they were starting to like dislike subjects that they just didn't click with. Like one student I worked with a lot, he just hated writing. So every subject was difficult, not like for him, just getting him to do anything because it was like writing math notes, like everything came pretty naturally to him. He was really smart. It was just getting him to learn those basic concepts. Like they started out because it was third grade, they were starting to learn multiplication, I'm pretty sure. And then his teacher, by the very end of the school year, she was kind of teaching them some fourth grade concepts like multiplying multi-digit numbers. And because he hadn't written notes and was like kind of had the concepts, like he memorized those math facts, the multiplication facts, but he just could not do multi-digit multiplication because he hadn't written the notes. He wasn't really clicking with it.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like I see it like in the younger years, but you see it so much more as they get older. Like by sixth grade, they were just over everything.
Yeah.
It's hard to motivate them.
I think it's also the middle schooler in them though.
Yeah, for sure. Like I understand, but also I'm like, please, I'm just trying to help you.
It's real, but I think even kind of answering your question, but at the same time, kind of continuing what you were saying, how you say that as they get a little bit older, they start losing that passion.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty common, especially so in math, but
Yeah.
I think this is a result of the type of education. And I'm not saying like, oh, I could necessarily like I do better, like I know better. I'm not
No,
saying
for
that.
sure, yeah.
But I think even we can relate to it that a lot of how we're taught is very lecture heavy. So it's really easy to become disinterested when you're taught one specific way, and if that doesn't click with you, it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
for the like
No,
not saying that it doesn't matter at all and we shouldn't try to improve on it, but in the way that things currently are, you just that's just going to be your education. Like it's going to be lecture heavy, and then maybe for math there's so many cool interesting ways that you can kind of learn, but we're very used to rote memorization. And like and I think it's valid, and it should be a balance. There's certain things like your multiplication facts that's beneficial for you kind of to be able to quickly like pull them out, but there's other types where it's just I think it would be so cool and engaging if they could learn through play, or they could learn through kind of games, or make it more entertaining rather than here is this worksheet, be quiet and silently like fill it out.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
I
think
can't
that's a
do that.
huge right.
Yeah.
I can't do that as an adult. Why are we
Yeah, no,
to do
and like
this?
even as a teacher, it's just more fun to make it into a game for you. Like mix it up, make it different.
You
Like
can see the personalities come out too.
Oh, true, yeah.
Exactly. So it's like
Yes.
connecting with them at the same time that they're learning.
And you're building a better community too, because if they're playing games, it's like working with teamwork or even just those relationships, like even competitively. No, you're so right. Like, I mean, for sure, his classroom, like, his teacher, she said she was only a couple years from retirement, so of course she'd been doing this for so many decades. She had a system down, but I mean, with students like him, like he's not engaged, and it really affected everything. Like, it was difficult. He would constantly get pulled out of the classroom because he wanted to like be out of the classroom and he knew how to get out. Like it just wasn't working. So I really think he could have benefited if we made it more engaging for him, even his classmates. She had difficulties with this one particular student because even the rest of the class, they were really high energy. And I think because if they're just doing like writing notes, doing worksheets, they don't have a place to really expel that unless they get to go to recess for a couple minutes or PE. Like, yeah, no, you're so right. I feel like games are so important to include in school now, which is, I don't know, ironic in some way, but it's just part of the culture now.
Yeah, or like like high movement. You saying that energy, and it's true because I even saw it with my own kiddos. Where I think that's something that, and kind of answering your question, that was so cool about the mentor teacher that I was able to observe is that I learned a lot from her, because originally the way that I saw math was very kind of like the teacher teaches and then the kids kind of just absorb it, and then you take a test and then you move on. But she made it very involved. The kids had discussions about it all of the time, and I was just even the way that she presented it was very friendly and it was very engaging. And I noticed that except for those students who lacked those foundations and they started to feel it a little bit, they were actually very engaged. And even I was surprised that some of them were that willing. They would get excited when we said we're going to play a multiplication game. They actually
You're like, what's wrong with you kids?
I was like, you also realize what we just said. We're gonna do math, and they're like, this is fun.
It's like putting it in that like different light.
Yeah, so excited, and they would kind of like, or you would go to like do what game they loved it, or like the stations.
Yeah.
So I think so it really just is about making it engaging, which I know is much harder said than done. 100%. And there's a balance, because there's some kids who might prefer something a little bit more common, more traditional. So it's just really
Oh, it's like the UDL. Like you said with stations, I feel like that's so important for UDL because then you can really try and target different types of learners. So there's like 9 different intelligences. So for sure you could have it where they just have to like copy notes, or maybe they get to play a game, like for sure, like targeting the different types of learners.
exactly options.
That's true. Yeah, maybe I think it's Eric Erickson.
The intelligences?
Howard Gardner. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There's too
Yeah.
many people.
Yeah. There's so
Like,
many.
to mix them all up.
Yeah, like they're all the same. They're a bunch of like
Yeah.
A lot of theorists, though.
A lot
Yeah.
of Europeans.
Europeans, yes.
A lot of valuable information, though.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Trying to think of. There's a few that were from Sweden. I'm trying to think from
I
China development
remember-
knowledge.
I only remember like names like Vygotsky.
Ski.
Who else? Yeah, Eric
Montessori.
Sorry,
That's right. Yes.
Is
Yeah.
another
your big ones.
big one.
Who is the hierarchy? Maslow?
Yes,
Maslow's
Maslow's
Yeah.
hierarchy of needs.
That's different,
Yeah,
but
that's-
I'm just trying to like go back.
Yeah. It was Yui Brofenberg, just because that was a fun name to say. The other part was the social cultural, that
Yes.
you become a product of your environment or a chaos of your environment, depending on who you're talking to. But it's true, like the kids surround it's so crazy to think that these little creatures, I was trying to think of a funny word to say, and creatures came to mind. They just form and adapt to whatever they become. That's a crazy survival skill
Oh
that
yeah,
these kids
kids are
have.
so adaptable.
And very
Like they can be
resilient.
stubborn, but yeah, no, for sure,
They're
they're
very
very
adaptable.
resilient. Yeah,
Mhm.
so much happens when you're little. Like, and you just can't like realize all of it. And there's so much you do as an adult. Like you reflect and realize, oh my God, like can't believe all that happened.
Right? Went through this whole like epidemic, whole thing, and was still in class.
That's true. I wonder how kids, like, as they get older, really think back on the pandemic. Like, their parents, their grandparents hadn't gone through anything like that. Like, we didn't go through that until we were graduating, like, high school. Were you in college when that happened?
I
Like,
was, yeah.
yeah, like, it's completely different. We never had to experience that in grade school or at a very young age.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's
Yeah.
definitely we had a conversation about this. I think at
Mhm.
like our beginning of our podcast. We were talking about the pandemic. The closest thing, I could be wrong, but like based on knowledge that I remember, is the swine flu or one of the Spanish flu. Spanish.
Oh,
really?
yeah,
Yeah.
back like 100 years
Yeah, a
ago.
long
Yeah, I
time
think that
ago.
was our last pandemic, like at least worldwide, as far as I understand.
Yeah, because like we
Yeah.
had the Ebola, we had a couple other things.
But it was
that-
never as severe as this, like
Yeah.
highly, highly contagious and not as easily contained. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, and it ties back to like what you're saying, like no one is alive to have gone through. If they no, I think there's one person, but no, the whole point of it is
Yeah.
yeah, no one's yeah, I think there was one person that went through both the Spanish flu
Mhm.
and this one.
But and like they're so old at this point, like
Yeah.
it's I doubt they're really like connecting those things. They got other stuff to
Yeah,
worry
yeah.
about.
They're living their retirement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But no, it's scary. I think both of y'all did work that for third graders, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
Mine was like during special education. That was when I had a lot of experience with third grade because this specific student, he like kind of demanded a lot of attention. But other than that, I have a lot of experience with fifth grade.
Fifth grade. Okay. And then yeah, third grade was
Yes,
Yeah, you have a lot more
I
experience
don't
than
have
me.
yes, I spent a whole year with third graders, but I'm like, I feel like you had truly the opportunity
Yeah,
to
it's like
experience a
all
little bit of
over, but
everything.
I just don't, I feel like I just didn't have enough experience with first, second, and kindergarten. I feel like it's a lot of the upper elementary. I feel like part of that is just special education itself. Like a lot of students haven't been diagnosed, and the ones that have, like, it's just far and few between. So, yeah.
Typically with diagnosis, this is a little controversial topic, I think, but you're at least in the United States, California very specifically, because we have a pretty high, what's it called, accommodations for special education, where you're not considered having a diagnosis unless it affects you academically.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Hence the reason why a lot of people have late diagnoses, because they're able to academically stay on top of
Yes.
on
Yeah.
things. So, and if you
Yeah.
look at the IDEA Act, there's 13 different categories. They all can revolve around academics.
Yes. Yeah.
True.
For
I hadn't thought
sure.
about it. Yeah.
No, because like I feel like for some like diagnosis too, like just the types are like even for like ASD, like some students just like can hyper focus on like education and academics. Like this is what they become stressed and anxious about is like being such a good student. Like why would any teacher like suggest diagnosis or their parents be concerned because they're doing so well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
People
very true.
people that are very capable of focusing. No
Mhm.
offense, a lot of women are very social creatures. Y'all are
Yeah.
able to adjust very well, and it's a reason why it's not as common to see women diagnosed with autism.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
it's easier to, I don't even want to say like mask it, like it's just more like I guess socially acceptable.
Yeah, it's true. I'm trying to think. I lost my train of thought with that. Pregnancy brain, could I say that? Can we talk about that real quick?
No, I would love to hear about that.
Some context behind this scene. Oh my gosh, it's a funny joke we say now. So Margaret and I, we went to Target, and were you sleep deprived that day?
I was.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'll do
As
it.
usual.
So we went to Target, and we went to go pay for something.
Yeah.
And there was a total. So Margaret handed the money over, and she just stared at the lady, and there's like a couple bucks that she still owed. And then Margaret was like, "Oh, yeah." And she looked into her purse, and it took her a couple extra seconds to figure out how much she had to give.
Bro, did you say you were pregnant or something?
No.
Okay, good.
It was the lady behind me.
Yeah.
I feel like you remember this situation better than I do.
I remember exactly what it came down to. Oh, it was like, oh, brain fog. We were talking about like it's just a foggy memory, like you just forgot it. I'm like, you're a teacher, right?
Oh yeah, because I think she was just like pregnancy brain or something like that.
Yeah.
She's like,
Bro,
oh, she's like,
what
oh,
if
I
she-
hate pregnancy brain. And I was like, oh, but she was being silly, but I was just like, oh, yeah, yeah.
What is she manifesting for you?
It has been a few months. I feel like we would have found out at this point.
But yeah, yeah. But you both have witnessed many of my glitch moments. Like,
Yeah, that's why my first instinct would be like pregnancy.
yeah. So I'm like, you guys know me, so you know what it's like.
I have that literacy knowledge.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's the sleep deprivation knowledge. My first instinct was, oh, they must be sleep deprived.
But now, whenever it's pregnancy brain, so
Okay, that
currently
makes sense.
experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Happens.
How many months?
Food baby. Food baby's wild.
No, I forgot where we were at.
It must be contagious.
Oh,
Imagine.
Yeah, no, I'm like not all there.
so do you have to tell us?
Nope.
We're like, I hope not.
No, seriously. I got enough to worry about.
What are the different ways to teach literacy? Because, like a language, similar to teaching a language, it's one thing to be able to pass the test, and schools do focus, especially in the United States, we force very test heavy. We teach for
the
them.
test.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's the correct term. But if we want to learn something truly like learning a language, you gotta receive the information, process it, comprehend it, and then ultimately being able to give that information out to communicate what you just learned. That's a whole lot happening
Yeah.
in that brain. What Last it could be two questions I can ask y'all. What is the way you thought was the best way? Because I feel like before we go into teaching, we had like, oh, this is the best way.
Yeah.
And obviously there's multiple ways. So what is the way that you felt was the best way? And then what have you seen being useful and helpful or have the most success?
I don't know. I feel like I've seen so many different methods, but like I feel like it goes back to what you were saying, like just about engaging the student. Like students are all so different. Like we were talking about the different intelligences. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's part of my program because we talk so much about building student relationships, but it's really like getting to know your students, like what works for them. Like my mindset, like I know when I have my own classroom, like I really want to figure out what works the best for my students as soon as I can, like testing out different ways to teach them to, because like maybe for like 1 year, the class, like none of them like really learn from lecture. So just trying to avoid that for the whole school year, because like what's the point if none of them connect with it? So I don't know. My instinct always is to connect with the student and figure out what works best for my classroom.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much makes sense, right? Kind of the trial and error and figures.
Yeah.
And what is it? That data driven.
Yeah,
Your
seriously.
favorite.
Oh, yeah, I gotta remember that.
I think I took a lot of what I thought was teaching from when I was taught.
Mm.
And the thing, sometimes I feel so bad because I feel like I'm trashing kind of the education that I got. But I also realized that a lot of other factors went into it because I, as a sort of paper hoarder, I've kept a lot of my old papers and I will go through them and I realize I've actually been exposed to a lot more than I remember.
Mm.
It was just the retention is not there. So now, post all of that, I'm like, oh, I didn't learn anything in school. But I'm like, well, I was exposed to it. I think it was just maybe the way that I learned it wasn't as memorable. It wasn't as engaging because it was very much like these are the slides, and I just took notes.
Yeah, definitely. That
Right.
threw me off.
Good.
No, it's true. Being able to, there's a statistic that came out. I feel like it's very outdated with the pandemic and everything else happening. But when that statistic came out, maybe it's so relevant. Y'all have heard it, that students retain about a little less than 60% of what they learn in the classroom. And obviously, this day and age, kids' retention rate is not there. Or
Yeah.
the specific word of it, I forgot. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to get into.
But it's true. I think especially no, because I'm like even I think going to attention span, maybe it's not the entirely same thing, but even how that has decreased, I think it very much makes sense that even retention has decreased as well. Is that kind of, am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah. The way I said it was like student retention rate. It's not we're trying to keep the students. It's the academic.
I got you.
Yeah. I'm glad you got it. Come on.
Yes.
Where everyone else is like, wait, what are you talking about? Keeping the students? You're talking about
Like
brains.
their like retention of things.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we want both. We want to retain them and also for them to retain things.
Yes. We don't get paid unless the kids are in the seats.
Yes. But even then, that's like a whole other conversation we actually
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
another day.
You're in the future?
Parts, I mean, yeah, of course.
We just mask ourselves and then be like, all right, you can't fire us because
No, but for that one for sure, I'm like, I feel like I need to actually sit down and kind of research a little bit more.
Data driven.
Data driven. Exactly. But I think now, kind of the exposure that I've gotten from student teaching and my method courses as well, things have changed a little bit more. And although that has not been my entire experience, because even with observational hours where I've gone to different classrooms, it's still very traditional. But what I've seen to kind of help the students, again, coming back to making it very, I think, gamifying certain things, right?
Entertaining.
Basically in a way entertaining, right?
Yeah.
Still keeping it academic, but I think even simple things like if you were to read a text, you have to front load that vocabulary, right? So kind of just trying to give like an actual concrete example. And maybe it's not like the most entertaining way, but you could even have like I suppose you can call it an organizer, cutting something out, having boxes for it, and then you can have like text features. So maybe it can be specific to when you read, what are you looking for? Or it can be specific like running or walking. And then having students kind of pull them out like as if they were cut out. And so you look at walking, you're like, oh, like where's that in the text? What does it mean? Can you come up with an example of it? And then you place it and you build a puzzle. So maybe it's not the most fun thing, but even that's so much better than having a worksheet, looking for the word, writing it down verbatim, because that's not going to help you learn. That's just you're just copying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yay what's it called? When you write, what's it called?
Repetition.
No, calligraphy. Yay,
calligraphy,
but
well, like I did that once with my students during student teaching, and like they were definitely engaged, but you're right, like they weren't really actually learning anything.
right? You guys
Yeah.
think about it or something. Oh, okay, this is really fun. My mentor taught me this, and I'm like, I'm definitely bringing this to my classroom. Making vocabulary really fun because you could still use slides. I'm not saying like like no slides, no technology. You could still use what you use, but just you have to adapt it a little bit. But I remember it was so much fun because you would start with a picture. You have a picture for them, and then you'd be like, "What do you notice?" As a whole class, we would do this as a whole class. What do you notice? So like if I remember we were reading this book and one of the words was aroma, and we had a bunch of different pictures. So we're like. And then we showed them the word. I'm like, has anyone seen that? With very, like standard. Has anyone seen this word? Like, does anyone know what this word means? And then the kids get excited and they want to share and they want to tell everyone what that word means. So you're like, yeah. So you give them the floor. You kind of let them be the teacher for a second, and they love it. And then you look at like the picture and you're like, what do you notice about this? Turn and talk. A lot of turn and talk.
Yeah.
You can change it up. It can be like elbow partner. It could be the person across from you. It can be so you can still keep it, like change it up a little bit. They get to share and it's like, okay, like now, like let's all talk about it. What do you think? They love it. Well, at least my students, they got so excited. I remember because we would have it like very kind of structured. It was when it was language arts. It was like, okay, like we're gonna do this, and we would do a little bit of phonics, we would do a little bit of this and that. And as soon as we said we're gonna do vocabulary, the children were like, I love vocabulary. And it was so cute because they were getting excited about learning and they're raising their hand and a lot of discussion. Sometimes it was a little hard for me to bring it back, but that meant that they were engaged and they actually wanted to learn. Later, when we were reading the text, and they recognize that word, they'd be like, we saw this word. And I'm like, yes, you're right, we did see that word. And they got happy about it. So I think it's making moments like that where it's a little bit more involved and you have more student participation. Graphic organizers,
Yes,
great
yeah, those are
way.
big.
Those are great. Or like matching games, like
Mhm.
just even taking that.
Creating those neurons, making those
Mhm.
connections.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Movement. Coming back to movement. That's a big one. If you
Mhm.
make certain kind of class sets for certain things, not only vocabulary, but if you wanted to teach students about cause and effect, if you wanted to teach them about what's it called? Telling a story in sequential order. I forgot the specific word for it. Chronological order, I suppose. But I'm like, what is it? Because it's a greater concept.
Sequence.
Sequence. I'm like, so I'm trying to think of standards, but it's not coming to me right now.
For can't think of it
Because I'm like,
either.
it's like a larger concept to it. But if
Yeah.
that's the goal, that if you wanted students to kind of learn, like, oh, if you wanted them to learn how to use transitional phrases as
Mhm.
well, you could like model that for them. Modeling is another huge one. But then you can have them move around it, and you give them each a card, and it's like, okay, find your table, find your group of people, and then
Mhm.
they get to talk, they get to collaborate. They're using those, so they get practice with that kind of verbiage.
Mhm.
Making them move around the classroom. Okay,
Yeah.
take out your whiteboards. Okay, come to the carpet. So it's just that
Yeah.
constant movement works very well.
Mhm.
So graphic literacy, graphic organizers.
We'll make it
Yeah.
very, yeah, just like picture it, put it
Yeah.
down.
Graphic organizers, high movement, collaboration, and a lot of student participation
Mhm.
and reading. They love to be read to, even the older ones.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Yes, yeah. No, for sure.
And it relates to life 10 times better because then they get excited and they'll respond or they'll try to help out the main character even though they can't hear this. It's so endearing, but making them excited, actually, and then taking their input. If it's something that maybe you can incorporate to the lesson, doing that. Or maybe if it's kind of like a new teacher and you're like, I don't know how to later you're like, well, I remembered my kid saying this, so next time that I built a lesson that's similar, I want to add this. So and then they notice and they get happy because they feel included in the learning. It's not just like here's the information. It's not the what's it the oh man Hollow Fairy. I'm thinking of the word bank, or what's it specific word for it.
For like
Vocabulary terminology.
No, that we look that oftentimes it's
the
like
gloss.
students are viewed as just like banks, and then we just kind of like deposit
Blank
information.
stone, that's not a blank
Oh,
bank, but yes.
yeah, no, I know what you
Do
mean.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It was Bell Hooks was the one that kind of tried to move education away from that.
From that, but like that, I believe that Paulo Freire was the educator who began discussing it because in his very long, yeah,
Mhm.
book. I blanking out right now, but I promise I know it, you guys.
Pregnancy brain.
Pregnancy, yeah, yes, pregnancy brain. But does that kind of answer the different kind of
Literacy, yeah, no, it's good. It's true. The students learn in different ways, and ironically, how to teach literacy is obviously being literate and how to teach it, and that's a whole concept on its own. I remember we're talking about just vocabulary scaffolding.
Mhm.
That's such a simple term that teachers use. That's like teaching 101.
Yep.
And I was in football training, and one of our coaches was doing a drill. We struggled. We really sucked at that drill, so he made it even shorter. And I'm like, scaffolding. I love it, coach. And everyone looked at me because none of them were teachers. So I'm like, oh, I'm the weird one, right? Yeah, just those vocabularies, being literate, being knowledgeable, one of the subject, but obviously of how to teach that subject as well. Really important, and just have fun.
Yeah, honestly, you start to hate it, like your kids are gonna pick up on that so easily.
Mhm.
Would you argue, this is kind of getting away from the subject,
Mhm.
but would you feel the kids will appreciate it more if we express how we feel? Like, hey, this is something I'm not a fan of doing. However, I still need to teach this for you guys. Do you feel like students are more likely to accept and receive and want to learn it? Or do you feel like no matter what, if you don't like it, students won't like it?
No, I'm like, I feel like my instinct isn't to tell them if I don't enjoy the subject, because then I think some of them might just be like, okay, I'm just gonna shut off then. Like, what does it matter then? If my teacher doesn't like it, then it must not be important. So I feel like, I don't know, so much of like teaching, you just have to mask how you feel, just kind of be a very like pleasant kind of vibe. So I feel like even if there was a subject I didn't enjoy or wasn't as comfortable with, like honestly, that's me with science, because I get worried because there's like so much you can ask and I really don't know. Like science doesn't really click with me. So I feel like it's one of those where I'd be like, okay, like put that all aside and like just get excited about it and just engage students.
Elementary students do like that though. So that
Yes,
does work for elementary students. I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's different with like middle school, high school. That's why I could never teach high school. I think maybe middle school, but I could never do high
You went to
school.
middle school before you do high school?
Oh, for sure.
That's what-
Yeah.
What have you got
I would
seen?
so much rather do middle school.
So I don't. Are you sure?
No, yeah, I think because they're just so funny. They're just such little weirdos. They're so awkward. They're hilarious. I could do it like high school. They're just so dead and over it. And I get that because that was me. But it's so hard to teach. I can't do it.
I would feel more intimidated by middle schoolers than I do high school.
No, I
High
think they're
school,
so funny.
you can connect them with them on that like we're all kind of
Yeah.
inside. With middle school,
But I can't do that. I need someone to be like way over it. No, yeah, I used to think like there's no way I would ever do middle school, but after having worked with some middle schoolers now for my program, like I'm like they're hilarious. I would happily do middle school over high school anytime.
I mean, even the middle schoolers we worked with, you kind of liking to them.
It's true.
Yeah, the high pitch is like, sure, if that's what you call liking.
Yeah, like I mean, as elementary school teachers, there might be some times you're in a school where you teach up to sixth grade, and that's kind of the middle school experience. Because like having worked with sixth graders, I'm like, wow, yeah, this reminds me of middle school so much.
that's true. That's true. There definitely is validity to that because I remember when I was a kid and there was a teacher that I really looked up to. I kind of soaked up everything that they said. So if they
Yeah.
expressed like disliking something, I'd be like, oh yeah, me too. Like
Because kids
that
are so
sucks.
impressionable.
Yes.
That's why I'm like, oh, I try and be very neutral about things. Like, I don't love it, I don't hate it. Unless I really like it and it's very like whatever thing, I'm like, it's fine. But I don't want to express to kids if I really dislike a subject or I'm not comfortable with it because I don't want them to get any kind of impression. Like, do whatever you want with it.
But I was actually going to say, like, as
Mhm.
well, I also agree with that. So again, like a balance of things because
Mhm.
I think it's that how can you tell that? I think that's like a slightly different process for
Mhm.
everyone, but I also do think that being honest with them is very powerful because then you
Yeah,
show
for
them
sure.
that even when you don't necessarily like something, it's still very important to be knowledgeable and
Yeah.
to, and to push past that and
Yeah.
still try to do your best.
Like,
in
I don't
certain
want to lie
things.
to them, but yeah, like I do think on it. That's why it's like, oh, it's so hard to answer because I do want to be honest with them,
Yeah.
but I just worry that because like kids are just so impressionable, I don't want to like, I don't want to say set them up for failure, but like, yeah, I don't want to impart any specific opinions on them. Like, it's up to them. They're their own people. They will make their own decisions. So, I'll try my best, but yeah, it's hard because I do want to be honest with them. Like, yeah, it's just so difficult. It's just somewhat nuanced as a teacher.
It's just a little.
Yeah.
I think being able to, I think you said it earlier, being able to rephrase those specific words instead of saying,
Yes,
"This is my
sure.
least." I'm already rephrasing it. This is.
The teacher and youth
I'm
puppet.
trying to figure out what.
Like, I'm not as comfortable with this subject, but we're gonna learn together. So
Yeah,
yeah,
one
like
thing
that.
I would say a lot of times. I'm trying to figure out what people generally say. It's like, "Oh, I don't like this subject, but we're gonna teach it." It's like, "This is my least favorite." I say that a lot.
Yeah.
Or like, "This is my 37th favorite."
You do that a lot, and it's funny, especially when the kids try to be like, "Wait, that makes no sense." They're actually trying to talk to you about it. But
Yeah, but that's good. You're making them ask questions.
What they're like, clearly, there's two kids I was working with. I think you saw
I
it.
saw one of the instances.
One of the kiddos asked something. Oh, it was like a random guess. It had to do with subjects. But the kid's like, guess what this is? I had no clue what it is. And I'm like, is it this? Like, no, it's this. I'm like, that was gonna be my 30. It was like a really high number. It's like 97th guess. Because like, I thought so. And the kid's like, I had no clue what it was. Did you? Like, yeah, no. Gotta love those kids.
It makes it memorable. And I
Yeah.
kind of already talked about this with him that I think it's so cool because I've never truly. I think it kind of opens your eyes. Like we can all be different educators, and it's so interesting watching you work because I'm like, wait, you should do that. I didn't think
Exactly.
that.
You like you
Stop
suggest
that.
stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm jotting this down in my head. I gotta remember this.
But it's true, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, she's so funny, and it gives me ideas of like,
Mhm.
like of course everything is like age appropriate, but it's
Yeah.
you're having fun. Not only can the kids have fun, you can have fun too, and it's really easy to forget that, especially
Mhm.
when you're so stressed with everything and all your responsibilities. But it's a fresh reminder. But
All the story. No.
all right, keep it fun, keep it fun, keep it fun and
Mhm.
safe.
Chum is fun.
Chum is fun.
Yeah, that's a SpongeBob reference. If anyone gets that.
I don't even get that.
Oh, I'm not dating myself. No.
All I think of is the fun song.
F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me.
Gotta remember.
Working with middle schoolers is fun.
I I enjoy it so much more than high school. Sorry, high schoolers.
But yeah. Yes. Oh, but yes, dependent as well. Just to kind of finish it
Mhm.
off. I think it also depends on the subject. If it's something really heavy,
Yeah, it's
regardless
hard.
how
Yeah.
you're feeling, I think it's might be a little insensitive to kind of bring up certain personal
Mhm.
feelings. But I
Yeah, for
definitely
sure.
agree with you, and I think that's actually very solid that you try
Mhm.
to be neutral because even though just teaching in
Mhm.
general is you are giving your opinion, like there's no way around it. You are ultimately choosing what's
Mhm.
important and everything. But I think keeping it
Mhm.
as empowering your students and saying at the end of the day, like this is information that you're receiving, but
Mhm.
you can interpret it how it makes sense to you and how
Yes.
it's relevant to your life. I think that's a very solid thing. And I think
Yeah.
in a way that's kind of what we're pushing for in education is that we're
Mhm.
still hearing there's certain things like you mentioned, you have to explicitly teach.
Yeah.
The children may not be able to learn it on their own just through like exploring because they don't have those foundations quite yet.
Yeah.
It's just keeping it a balance.
Yeah, because I mean, what you're saying made me think of like so many teachers I've observed where they like explicitly say their opinion, and I don't know, as an observer, I'm like, this is so awkward. It's weird to say that. Like, you're outright saying, this is bad, this is good, this is what you should believe. Like, it's just weird. I don't know if the kids are even listening, but like, someone might be. I feel like it's just too weird to me to like be like, oh, this is what you should believe.
Like
They're
assigning
gonna draw their own
morality to it
conclusions.
as well.
Yeah.
I've seen
They're gonna go through so many phases of life, and I think it's just better to try and approach it as neutrally as you can for different subjects. Like you can't always be, but you try.
you do. And I guess
Mhm.
turning it back to you as someone who I know likes being very honest and not in a negative way, but I think it's refreshing. But someone who likes to be honest and who likes to be upfront about, how do you feel about
Yeah, because you're also with middle school. I feel like makes it different. Like the younger kids, for us, they have almost no opinions, impressions yet. It's all a regurgitation of what they hear from their parents and like families probably. But like for you, I feel like with middle school, they're kind of starting to develop a lot more of their own
they're more
opinions
cooked,
and
you
stuff.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word to say.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sixth graders is pretty easy, simple, since they're still on that
Still
younger. Yeah, they're
elementary.
still little. But it's seventh and eighth graders specifically. I want to answer that question. So with mathematics, there isn't as many many topics to
Mhm.
teach about, and I really like math, so unfortunately, a little difficult on that. But in terms of answering other questions, such as trying to think of a subject, I guess like history.
History,
Yeah,
yeah.
history is a really good example because Native American, we don't get much history to talk about at all. So I guess Pocahontas would be an example. We have to do a lesson on Pocahontas, the Disney movie, not the actual lore
Really?
behind it. And we don't have to do it, but that's like an example
Oh,
I can
okay.
think of. I don't remember much about sixth grade
Yes, it's
is
ancient civilization. It's a
yes,
lot of like Egypt, Greece. I don't remember after that. I think it's US history.
U.S. history seventh grade,
I don't remember
and then
eighth
eighth
grade.
grade is I think this is no seventh grade is world history, and then
Oh,
eighth
okay.
grade because that's how it is in high school as well. It's world
Hmm.
history, and then U.S. history, and
Mhm.
then U.S. government.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah.
that's right.
No, yeah. Because, like, when you're learning about, like, the world history, I mean, they focus so much on Europe. And, like, you hear nothing about anyone else. Like, I feel like China, because they have so many, like, inventions and stuff. They've made so many things. But even then, it's like a chapter or something. It is not a lot for
Yeah,
world history.
it's so interesting how so many countries have influenced other
Mhm.
countries as well, and unless you get into that, you don't make those connections as kids.
Mhm.
But going back on that question, I depending on who I'm with, if it's seventh and eighth graders and I built that rapport with them, I'm letting them know like, hey, this is something I'm not a fan of. However, I need to teach this
Mhm.
because of XYZ. Most of the time, if it's something that is actually not useful or relevant, I won't teach it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I haven't come across a situation where I still need to teach it, but uh, usually there is a reason for teaching something that I need to teach. So yeah, I think that's my answer. I'll be honest, like this is my least favorite. I'm not a fan of this. However,
Mhm.
once you get past this is going to be useful for other subjects.
Yeah.
And once the kids understand it, I'll explain either why I don't like it or why I do. And some kids will be like, yeah, I don't like that's it. Probably how I do. I'll be like, I'm not a fan of this. However, we're teaching it, and then I'll explain what's the reason I'm not a fan of this. Because a lot of students do see why I'm not a fan of it, and then some students who do like it is like, oh, cool, congrats to you.
But that's good though, because you allow them still to have their own opinion and even if they don't agree with you, now they have perspective.
True. And if they don't like it, they can tell me and what they like and what they wish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, wrapping it up.
The direct feedback is my favorite. Is like I wish, and it works really well, especially for the kids who are very quiet and reserved, or who I'm not, were unable to talk to. Just they'd be like, "Oh, I wish this happened. I wish that happened." I'm like, dang, if you told me that, I could have done it. But it's all good. It's being able to understand the kids and having fun.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think that's all we got for today. If you have any questions about literacy, read a book. No. Get literate, guys. No. In all honesty, just as we always say, just be curious, ask questions. There's resources out there. We have internet. You guys are watching this on the internet, so there's so many other resources out there as well to get more knowledgeable. And as always, PSA, pass a smile, stay safe, always be awesome. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.